Hello, I'm Ericka Sallee, and welcome to the TruWoman Show. Today, my guest is Karen Ganjon, administrator at Carroll Lutheran School in Carroll County, Maryland. Karen holds bachelor's and master's degrees in education from Towson State University and has completed doctoral coursework in teacher development and leadership from Johns Hopkins University. Her educational career has included work in Howard and Carroll counties and the Maryland State Department of Education. Karen served in various positions throughout her public educational career, including elementary teacher, resource teacher, principal, supervisor, and director of intervention and instructional programs. While at the State Department of Education, she worked in the Division of Instruction during 3 reform initiatives, and she also coordinated and taught gifted and talented education courses at Johns Hopkins. Karen joined Carroll Lutheran School in July of 2013. As a parent of a child at Carroll Lutheran, I've personally witnessed her dynamic leadership style as she runs the school with a firm yet tender hand. Her care and compassion for her students and her staff resonates in everything she does. From greeting each student at the door every morning to policy, procedure, and instruction, her main objective is to do everything for the betterment of her students. She works tirelessly for the school and is one of its biggest cheerleaders. It's an honor to have you with me today, Karen.
Thanks, Ericka. It's nice to be with you here.
So tell me, what makes you so passionate about education?
I think if my parents were here today, they would tell you that it started when I was a little girl, when my favorite thing to do was to play school. And of course, I had to be the teacher. But that was, I think, part of wanting to be able to help others. Part of my belief system is that every child can learn and succeed. And it's part of the adult educators and the parents and other significant adults in a child's life that need to decide where's the best place that's going to happen, what's the environment, and what's it going to take in terms of resources to make sure that that happens. So I think that passion was early on, and I think it's based on a belief that I hold dear, that I truly believe all children can learn and succeed.
And that's a good philosophy, especially now when you see so many different kids with different needs and tapping into those needs where they are. So what are some of the key principles that guide you as you guide your students and your staff?
I'm glad you asked me that question, because I talked to a group of parents and students on Saturday who really helped me to capsulize, I guess, what those principles are. And one is keeping the vision and mission alive. The vision and mission must be real to all the stakeholders, and they need to see themselves as part of that environment or that community. And that means when the going gets tough, that you go back to that vision and mission and you say, if this is what we're about, how does this fit in? How can we make sure this happens? Or we say, that really isn't part of what we're doing right now.
So you don't even entertain.
And you move on from there. But keeping that vision and mission alive is important to staff, students, and families. I think the other thing too is my students and parents tell me that I walk the talk.
Yes, you do.
That I am very clear about what people are expected to know and be able to do and the learning targets for students, but that I truly believe that all children have different gifts and talents and abilities. And that, once again, it goes back to that principle that when we know our learners well and we know our families, planning that educational program is really important, taking all those factors into account.
And as a leader, holding fast to that is something that those around you will look to you to do. And so that's a very important thing to mention. I know that a lot has happened over the last couple days in our city in Baltimore. How do you relate that to what happens in the classroom, what may be lacking, how we may need to change the direction of education going forward?
That's a neat question to think about. And I think part of the answer is in the fact that at Carroll Lutheran, we really respect and honor diversity. In other words, listening and learning from one another if there are different perspectives, and recognizing that everyone in our community is important and what they have to say is important. And if we disagree, how we go about finding common ground. And for the students in our school, as we, our older students, our 8th graders, were talking about that the other day, and they were talking about fear. It is when you don't understand or there's an unknown that there's fear. And what we try to do in recognizing people's gifts and talents and respecting diversity and honoring different perspectives is that ability to listen and learn and value that it's a treasure if you look at it that way, and it can be something that you fear if you don't seek to understand.
And that's very important. And I think that going forward, there's a lot that can be learned from just those few words, you know, value and understanding. And I think that it's so important in our schools, it's important in our families, and it works hand in hand to make things better. So talk about Carroll Lutheran School. What do you want people to know about this jewel, this diamond in the rough, if you will?
I appreciated your description as the cheerleader, because sometimes I really feel as I'm out there going, go Carroll Lutheran. We are
to Carroll Lutheran.
Come.
Yes.
Carroll Lutheran is a K-8 school. It's a faith-based school, and full-day kindergarten through grade 8. Carroll Lutheran School, the letters Carroll Lutheran School, CLS, stand for Christian Compassion, a love of lifetime learning, and social responsibility.
Very key.
So if you're thinking about being part of our community, what would you see? What would you hear? There is an emphasis on quality education, meaning that there is rigor and we hold to standards, and we expect a lot from our students. But we also provide the necessary resources, tools, and work with parents to make sure that those expectations are joint expectations. We're all in it together.
In it together. Very, very important. As parents, as teachers, as the students, it's a partnership and it works hand in hand. So if parents are looking for an alternative or an option for their children, how can they reach out to you, and what would you say to them in order to bring them to the school as an opportunity?
I would love to see more parents come to the school. Our greatest assets at Carroll Lutheran are our human resources. We have an excellent staff, we have wonderful engaged families, and our students are there and engaged in purposeful and meaningful ways. So I would like to see you come to Carroll Lutheran. You can call, you can email carrolllutheranschool.org to arrange a time to visit. You may attend many of the programs that we offer. We're located in Westminster, and we are located in a spot where we can really be a community school.
Absolutely, we can, yeah.
And I would say to listeners, though, that recognizing that this marriage of faith-based and the education is something that when we talk at school, we talk about the entire child, that we are concerned certainly with academics, but we also address the emotional, the spiritual, the physical needs of children. We have guidance, we have resources, because we care about the entire child.
And that's very important, because oftentimes some of those other social factors roll into the academics, and then we don't necessarily always make the connection as to how they're related. So I'm glad that you said that. I'm so glad that you sat down to talk with me today. Do appreciate and thank you again for your time.
You're certainly welcome.
Our educational system is one of the most important institutions in our society, one that raises some concerns from parents, political leaders, and other educators across the nation. But listening to Karen's story reminds us that there's a lot of good going on for our children. For Karen and many others in her field, the reward is not the pay, for we know the salaries for educators compared to other professions, but it's found in seeing children learning, growing, and thriving. Marian Anderson said, leadership should be born out of the understanding of the needs of those who will be affected by it. And truly, Karen Ganjon is one who understands the needs of the children and families she serves. So thank you again for joining me, and stay tuned for another remarkable story. And there are still a few spaces left for you to join me for the Pajama Party with Purpose Women's Retreat, November 5th through the 7th at the beautiful Hyatt Regency Chesapeake Bay Resort in Cambridge, Maryland. Take advantage of the $25 registration fee using the promo code PPWP. So go to www.TruSynergy.org for details and registration and all other TruSynergy news. Also, like us on Facebook at TruSynergy.org and follow us on Twitter at TruSynergy LLC. So until next time, find your true woman and be well.